Hello and welcome to the Coaching Crowd podcast with me, Zoe Hawkins, and my friend and co-host Jo Wheatley.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's podcast. Today, we are talking about what we believe is a truth or a reality, which is that no coach is a complete beginner. And the reason that we're talking about this is we've been running our coaching business for quite a while now. Lots of learners have come through it. So lots of people approach us obviously about coaching training, and they often approach us with a lot of anxiety, like, can I do this? I've done a bit of coaching, but I've never really done it properly. And so we wanted to talk about the myth surrounding coaching training to demystify it and help it to feel more accessible. So if you're interested in coaching, it feels like there's an easy next step for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think whenever you start anything new and embark on a new journey, that discomfort and anxiety about perhaps being the least skilled person in the room is completely normal. But when we approach our coaching trainings and our facilitators as well, we like to share with people that nobody in that space and in that room is a complete beginner, because you're all coming with natural skills around rapport building, listening, asking questions. And actually, the majority of the learning that takes place, I think, in a coaching training is the unlearning of perhaps habits and skills that you bring up from being a good friend and a great listener. And those things are really important. And when you come into a coaching training, it's often about adjustments. It's not really about everything being brand new all of the time. Of course, there is a lot of new content, but you will be drawing on and building upon natural skills and talents that have led you to the down the path of coaching in the first place.
Yeah, I think a core skill of coaching is about being able to be present with your client. We often talk about creating and holding the container for our clients, but really just being able to listen. A lot of master coaches will say that really, the best coaches or, part of the mastery in coaching is sometimes you could sit there and just hold that space and not say anything at all. And that could be completely transformational for the other person. And I think about my husband, he's really good at listening to me, really good. I'm kind of nattering on about something, and he knows that I'm processing it. And what I feel from him is he has trust and confidence that I will work stuff through myself, but he also knows that I find it really valuable to be witnessed in that. And he'll ask me questions at different times, or he'll give me a counter point of view sometimes, and help me to think around things. So whilst he isn't a trained coach, and he may not think of himself in that way, I absolutely see, coaching skills within that. And if you think in the workplace, when do you find yourself saying, have you got 5 minutes? That's a permission question. It's checking in, like, are you in a place where we could, we could have a conversation for 5 minutes? And that's a key part of a coaching conversation, asking permission, checking that there's it's a good time to have a conversation.
I think the other thing to remember when you enter into a learning space is it's about strengths, talents, and development areas. So nobody is coming into that space completely the same. So where you may have a particular skill for being able to spot patterns or sense emotions or energy shifts from a client, somebody else may really, really struggle with that. And the part that you might struggle with is like holding off giving your ideas and suggestions. And somebody else might be brilliant at just being able to do that because that's been a skill that's been more massaged and created already. So, if you're thinking of training to be a coach and you're having these concerns around, oh, there's no way that I would be able to do that, or I'd feel like a complete imposter in that room, I invite you to step into that. What are you bringing? Rather than what have you not got, like, what are you already bringing? Like, what has led you to even be thinking about a coach? What are those natural skills and talents that you're starting to lean into that are leading you down this coaching path?
Yeah, I think we're talking about, sometimes people use the phrase like, who you are is how you coach. So, you know, if you focus around all the skills and focus on, or theories, for example, and think, oh, I'm not very academic, so therefore, like, even the word qualification can be off-putting, for people sometimes. Well, it's full support. Your training providers, need to be supporting learners to be able to, pass through all of the different points that you need to do. But it's the being, if you actually, focus on, do I as you said, Zoe, like, do I have a passion for coaching? Am I interested in people, or fascinated even by people's behaviors, the way that they think, what they feel about things? That's the fundamental. Are you curious to learn more about people? Do you believe that people can grow and develop? Do you have an innate uh, belief that people kind of naturally want to go towards their potential, or have a sense that there is potential within them? That's what you need, really. And what we're always fascinated by is people's stories, what has brought them to coaching training. And you and I have talked about our stories on previous podcasts, and I think maybe even in our book we talked about it as well. And that gives us that unwavering focus and dedication to what we do. So I always would start with, like, how are you when you're with other people?
Mm.
Do people naturally gravitate towards you? And as you said, like, I trained because I was getting feedback from people all the time, like in different spheres of my life, that this was, they didn't use the word strengths, but it was that sort of feedback. And I thought, how do I get better at this? Because I'm just being me, and I want to be more conscious, and I want to be able to use this more if this is something that is almost drawing me into it.
I think it's worth also normalizing that you probably will struggle at times on a coaching training program. And the reason why is because that is also part of learning. Like, if everything was easy and everything was a breeze, then everyone would be a world-class coach. And we know that that's not the case. Like, challenging yourself to push through that stretch zone, develop new skills, try out things that are new and different, try out some things that may feel strange in a coaching conversation. There are some coaching activities that are quite edgy. And so it's okay if you come away from a coaching practice and you think, oh my God, like, I don't think that went very well at all. Doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean that you should never have signed up and that you're going to be a terrible coach. It's just part of the course of learning. And so I think, checking in of your expectations and making sure, where's my mindset here? Am I expecting this to be a walk in the park and for me to find everything easy? Or do I need to check in and be like, actually, I want to be challenged. I want to be stretched. And I think that's the other thing around, good coaching training programs will meet you where you're at when you arrive. So if you are a learner who has had very little experience, you bring all your natural skills and talents, but you've got little experience of coaching, then the feedback that you'll get when you're observed in a coaching session will be at the level that you're at. So typical feedback would say you're asking great open questions, your pace is steady and at a pace that your client can understand. Your next step might be to focus more on summarizing, using the client's words and playing back what you've heard. Somebody who has that skill in the bank, and perhaps they've done a coaching program prior to joining the ones that we run, they might get feedback around, pay more attention to the energy shifts that you're seeing in your client and share observations that you see when your client's energy shifts. That's a way for them to move from to their next level. So it's not that everyone is expected to be in the same place all the time, because that's not possible. So your facilitators support you with where you're entering into the coaching qualification and where your growth edges are currently seen to be. And by the end of the program, everybody is coaching to a high standard, because that's our role. That's the role of facilitators, is to hold the standards, provide you with feedback, and help you to grow and develop into the best coach that you can be.
And I think a counter view to what we've said so far, or an additional view, is so whilst we consider no coach is a complete beginner, it's also really helpful to approach a coaching qualification with a beginner mindset. So, being open to the reality that we don't know everything. So I've recently started a pretty intensive, comprehensive coaching qualification. Obviously, I'm already a qualified and accredited coach, but as part of my CPD, for me, I enjoy learning and being with new people. And the course has only just started, but I'm entering into it with a beginner mindset. And the cohort is probably half people that are already qualified and experienced coaches, and the other half that aren't qualified and experienced coaches. And I've already, I don't know if I say learned so much, I've already been influenced so much by the experience, and that's by the dynamic of the group, it's by the energy of the group, it's the way the facilitator describes things that I'm familiar with, but they describe them in a way that is new for me, and that I am open to hearing in new ways with my beginner mindset. And of course, I have all those feelings of like, where do I fit in the group? Do I belong here? I don't want to contribute too much. I don't want to contribute not enough. Does, am I aligned to the way that other people are approaching it? And I think, for me, it's about finding joy in it. And I consciously nurture a beginner mindset. I think where a beginner mindset can get in the way is if the anxiety that can sometimes be triggered by having a beginner mindset gets in the way of you being able to kind of be in your flow and practice and develop the skills, because you've got that undermining internal narrative. So I think your relationship to what it is to be a beginner is a really fascinating area. So it may be, if you're thinking about undertaking a coaching qualification, you might also want to get some coaching before you start the coaching qualification or alongside it to support you to get the most out of that learning experience. But most people that come on our courses are, people that have got a lot of life experience, and they are used to people coming to them for advice. They are used to, let's say, supporting and nurturing teams, or they've been developing their own business, building relationships. Maybe they've got a family, perhaps they are a football coach or a rugby coach, or, some sort of sporting thing. Or maybe they haven't held any of those positions, but they're an observer and they observe people's behavior, and they've thought, oh, I'd really love to be more involved in supporting people to grow and develop. Perfect time to train as a coach. You also don't have to know what you want to do at the end of it. Lots of people don't. For a lot of people, it's just, I know that this is something that I will enjoy and is going to help me to develop personally and professionally.
I love what that you said around the beginner's mindset. And I think we had discussion on the podcast a number of episodes ago around imposter syndrome. And it's very easy to label yourself as an imposter when you're a beginner. And the reframe to that is to think about, wow, look at all these people I can learn from. Like, look at the knowledge and the wisdom in the room, and how inspiring is that? And if you're noticing how somebody seems to be picking up on the techniques easily, or seems to be like coaching is like natural for them, then get curious. Like, how are they doing it? Not like, how are they doing it and I'm not. Like, how are they doing it? Like, what's their mindset as they enter into those conversations? And I think if you're sensing that anxiety, those imposter sort of feelings, then bring curiosity. See if you can do a reframe and step into possibility and growth, so that you can start to enjoy the experience of being a beginner. So, I mean, being a beginner is a brilliant place to be if you can relieve yourself of expectation, because certainly as facilitators, that no one's expecting you to be amazing on day one. I mean, it's amazing if you are, like, if you come out of the coaching exercise and you had a brilliant experience and you're raving about, how it went, super. What's more likely is you come out and, oh, that felt clunky. I wasn't really sure how to like ask those questions. It felt a bit like an interview. It was a bit stilted. That's more likely the experience you're going to have. And so just check in with your expectations, because if you can enter into a learning environment with, all right, let's see how this goes. And you do what you can, you commit to the learning, you do the pre-work, you turn up, you're prepared, you're listening, you're curious, you ask questions. The rest, the process will take care of itself. I think expectation can sometimes dampen the spirits around the pressure that you might put on yourself to be something other than in the moment.
I think No Coach is a Complete Beginner also talks to Those of you that may have had coaching. So if you've ever had coaching, you're definitely not a complete beginner if you were to come and join a coaching qualification, because you'll have picked up and absorbed so much from the experience of being coached by somebody else, probably more unconsciously than consciously. And the way that we look at coaching, when I think about coaching clients, is I want to support my client to develop their own internal coach. That for me is a big part of the empowering ethos around coaching. And so often when I coach clients, I just admire, I'm in awe of of my clients in the way, the courage that they show to lean into the unknown, or to sit with the unknown, to push forward, to take action, to reflect and consider different perspectives. So often I think, "Oh, you've got the skills to make a great coach." And there's that like excitement that, like to temper inside of me. So if you have ever had coaching, I think, as I say, you are not a beginner. You're already further on, than you perhaps feel that you are. So if you've got that little tingling feeling inside you, you keep looking at a coaching qualification and think, oh, is it me? Where would I start? Should I start at like a level 3? I guess that's something probably worth us clarifying, is we have it's like we have our level 3, level 5, and level 7 coaching qualifications, and you can start at any level. You don't have to do level 3 and then progress to level 5 and then progress to level 7. You can go straight in at level 7. You can go straight in at level 5, or you may find that level 3 is what you need right now. And if you wanted to leave a break and then come back to it in a few years' time, there's also that option there for you as well. And that's what our quiz, my coaching course .com is all about, is helping to signpost you to the level of qualification that's right for you. And then if you want further reassurance on which is the right course for you, then Shelley, our training coordinator, is always happy to hop on a call and help you to find the right level for you to join on.
Yeah, most of our learners seem to start on the level 7, don't they?
Yeah.
We do have a number that's begin on the level 5, and level 3 is sort of separate. It tends to be more foundational skill building. Level 5 and 7 tend to be for those who are thinking seriously about coaching, either internal to an organization or as an independent coach. And I would say the majority of our learners dive in 2 feet first into the level 7, and there are others who start on the level 5, and then half of them upgrade halfway through because they're like, oh, actually I've really got the bug for this now. I want to do like the highest level qualification. And the level 7 is a master's level qualification, so it's a really robust coaching qualification that's going to set you up for success. So yeah, as Joe said, visit mycoachingcourse.com and do our quiz if you're thinking around training to be a coach, or just get in touch with us directly via our website, igcompany.co.uk.